Welcome back. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on NewsX. For days in Punjab, people have watched as the worst floods in more than 3 decades have devastated their livelihoods, their land, property, farms and connectivity. Extreme levels of rainfall that fell across northern India have brought untold damage in Punjab, resulting in flash floods and swollen rivers. With 3 more deaths reported in the past 24 hours, the death toll in the state has reached 46. With Gurdaspur amongst the worst hit regions, the floods have reached 1,998 villages while destroying crops and farmlands. Relief operations are being carried out by NDRF, SDRF and government deployed boats and helicopter. The government has also released 71 crores for immediate relief. Cabinet members, MLAs, MPs have pledged 1 month's salary to the CM's relief fund, while the Excise and Taxation Department have contributed 50 lakh rupees. The Punjab government, alongside NGOs like Khalsa Aid and SAF International, have also initiated efforts, but the scale of the crisis demands increased central funding and coordinated action. 50,000 displaced families require emergency relief and shelter, including food, clean water and sanitation, in 129 relief camps and medical camps to tackle injuries and disease risks. Farmers require urgent financial aid to recover from large-scale crop losses, restoring roads and communication networks essential for connectivity. Rescue teams need boats and drones to reach stranded residents and clearing rivers, strengthening embankments to avoid further flooding. Joining us live is Gautam Mukherjee, senior journalist. We also have Prithpal Singh Baliawal, BJP spokesperson from Punjab, live with us. Indrashekhar Singh, agricultural policy analyst, is also joining us live in the broadcast. Let me make a start with you first, Gautam Mukherjee. Gautam, what should be now the priority for the rescue and relief? Of course, there are a lot of obstacles which are hampering relief work on ground in Punjab, even as many parts of the state continues to reel from the floods and after effects, Gautam.
Well, I think the Prime Minister is going to Gurdaspur. That will galvanize the relief efforts, which are already underway. I think the army is helping. Gurdaspur is a border area. It is strategically important. A lot of the border fence has also come down in the process of these floods, which are, I think, the worst since the 40s, 1949, I read. And therefore, the thing to look out for is straightforward relief, food, shelter, medicines, and eventually, a little later, a rehabilitation package and some moves to prevent the rivers, in particular rivers and canals, from overflowing their banks, including dredging, bunds, and so on. And also, there are a lot of reports about denudation. The trees and so on have been cut down ruthlessly, and as a consequence, this has damaged the land, much of which has been washed away, the topsoil. This also needs looking at and rectification as part of the relief effort. Uday.
Okay, let me also, in fact, join Indrashekhar Singh in. Indrashekhar, you know, on ground, what are the obstacles that the relief teams are facing, even as the floodwaters, of course, do not recede as yet, and also the adverse weather continues in certain parts of the state? What are the obstacles and the challenges that are obviously making relief, rescue, rehabilitation even all the more difficult on ground in Punjab?
Thank you, Uday, for having me on your show. And first thing I would like to say is that we don't actually know what is the extent of the damage. Right now, because of loss of connectivity, loss of roads, we don't really know what is the exact damage that's caused and where is the last villager that's suffering. The last village where crops have been damaged, where cows and dairy and all these other very essential things for Punjab have been damaged. So the first thing is that we don't know exactly how much damage has been done. We are still trying to estimate, and that's, we're trying our best. I'm not saying that not enough efforts are being put at it, but this is, still we don't know how badly Punjab has been hit. And that's where I come to my second point, that we have to understand that the problem of Punjab actually does not begin in Punjab. It begins in Himachal Pradesh. It begins in the areas where these rivers come from. And the second problem lies at these big barrages and the big dams, which have released waters without the farmers knowing, without the state of Punjab being prepared to divert these waters away from the villages and away from the settlements. So there is deforestation in Himachal Pradesh. There is illegal mining. There is stone, basically rock bed mining. There is just extreme deforestation in the upper Himalayas, which has caused this problem to increase many folds. It's not that there were no cloudbursts earlier in history, also. There were cloudbursts in history too. But because there were trees, because there were grasses, the water could be held up in the mountains. And the water and the silt and sediments and the debris did not flow down. We saw many videos, I cannot verify them, but from Chamba, and even the Supreme Court has said that what are all these logs doing in the debris? You know, these trees, these massive tree that have been cut, and now they're flowing down into Himachal and destroying the barrages and even the dams. So how is this possible? So I think the real problem here lies in how we treat the catchment areas of our rivers. And the second thing is what happened in the dams, the big dams that we have and the barrages that we have, when the water levels were exceeding. Why were the people not warned? On whose order were the barrages asked to stop the water for so long that when this heavy rainfall came, the barrages could not contain that water? Now we are getting multiple reports that sometimes some of these barrages were not even kept properly or were not functional to their 100%. So who's responsible? India wants to know, and I come back to my first point. First of all, we need a white paper on who's actually responsible for the bleeding and killing of Punjab. And the nation wants to literally know that why is Punjab suffering? Why is Himachal suffering again? Why is Uttarakhand suffering again? Why is Kashmir suffering again? The same principles of corruption, greed have eaten into these mountain states, into these hill states, because of which the plains are deeply affected. And my heart reaches out not just to the victims, but also to the relief workers who are now putting all their best energies
Do
in
you
trying to
believe
reach
then,
the last person.
Indrashekhar, that at some point this tragedy is also man-made? Of course, there have been reasons of climate change and of course the unprecedented weather cited as well. But do you believe somewhere then that this tragedy is also man-made?
Uday, I think the Supreme Court agrees with me and says that this calamity is actually man-made. So when the courts are saying this, anybody who's watching this knows that this is a man-made, and not even man-made. It's not like all Indians have come together and made this tragedy happen. It's the greed of a political class that's caused the corruption, that's caused the deforestation, that's caused the illegal mining, and given them patronage. I think the fault lies with the people who create these policies and the people who do not stand against corruption and the destruction of the environment. It's their fault. It's not a man-made thing. It's actually made by a few men and women who are responsible for the deforestation, for the illegal corruption, and for environmental degradation. These are the people who have killed our Devbhoomi. We think that the Himalayas are sacred to us, and they are sacred to many people, despite your Hindu, Muslim, whatever you are. The Himalayas are a sacred place for this country. They give us our waters. Now, if anybody who's going and destroying the Himalayas, why are we as a civilization, as a people, allowing that? I think that's a major question to ask. And all these people, they are the real people who are doing adharmic things. This is the real sin of today's time. This is the ecological sin that is causing and now giving its consequence to millions of people in Punjab, not just in India, but also across the border. So it's a great human suffering. Pakistan is also going to use this as like an international, it's going to create pressure in India that because of India, people in Pakistan are also now flooded. So we are now entering a geopolitical problem just because of internal corruption and deforestation that's happening in our Devbhumis.
All right, let me in fact also bring in Prithpal Singh Balewal then. Prithpal Singh, what is the situation on ground where you are currently? What are the challenges that of course the relief and rescue teams are facing? Also, as far as the BJP in Punjab is concerned, how much help is being provided by your party as well to the people on ground? And also, the agriculture minister was in the state just a few days back. We also do know Prime Minister Modi is likely to be in Gurdaspur as well in the next 48 hours. How serious is the centre as well about providing rescue and relief to Punjab at this time?
देखिए जी, मैं ऑलरेडी ग्राउंड जीरो पे हूँ और मेरी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी है सानेवाल में ससराली विलेज, जहाँ पे ब्रीच हो रहा है और ब्रीच है 2.5 किलोमीटर लंबा। हमारी गरीमत ये है कि वहाँ पे पानी नीचे है और वो पानी नीचे के होने के कारण वो ब्रीच ज्यादा कर रहा है, काट रहा है लैंड्स। और नियर अबाउट 450 एकड़ लैंड वो खत्म हो चुकी है। और आज भी 1 किलोमीटर लंबा ये ब्रीच हुआ है, और 3 विलेजेस और है जहाँ पे मेरे साथ साथ गाँव के साथ, जहाँ पे ये बड़ा ब्रीच है, उसके बाद छोटे ब्रीचेस हैं जहाँ पे हम फ्रॉम लास्ट 10 डेज काम कर रहे हैं। सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट अपना रिलीफ भेज रही है। कल मेरी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी में तरुण चुग जी भी आए थे, उन्होंने देखे हालात। बट ये सारी चीज की कहानी जो पर्टिकुलर, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट माय कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी, वहां पे शुरू होती है कि वहां पे 14 गांवों ने इन मंथ ऑफ अप्रैल इस लीगल माइनिंग के खिलाफ धरना दिया था, प्रोटेस्ट किया था फॉर नियर अबाउट 1 मंथ। और उन माइनिंग माफिया ने उन गांव वालों को पीटा, पहले उनके ऊपर एफआईआर रजिस्टर की, देन गवर्नर ऑफ पंजाब को इंटीमेट करना पड़ा हमें, साथ में ले जाकर 14 गांव के लोगों को, सरपंचिस को, तब जाके वो माइनिंग माफिया पे एफआईआर दर्ज हुई और वहां पे माइनिंग बंद हुई। आज लोग हमें थैंक्स कर रहे हैं कि अगर हमारे गांव बचे हुए हैं, जमीन जारी है, खतरा पड़ा हुआ है, बट अगर हमने अभी इतने दिनों तक सरवाइव किया है तो हमने तब माइनिंग रुकवा दी उस गांव में, तो बचाव हुआ होगा। तो जो दूसरी बात, माइनिंग बंद किया, जो इम्बैकमेंट किया है और डीसिल्टिंग किया, बाकी चीजों के इशू है, हमने बीजेपी की तरफ से 24 जून को मुख्यमंत्री पंजाब को लिखा था कि जो लीगल माइनिंग और इलीगल माइनिंग के कारण ये बांध कमजोर हो चुके हैं, आप इनकी रिपेयर कराइए। इसके लिए सेंटर से फंड आ रखा है, पर मान साहब ने अनदेखा कर दिया। सिर्फ थोड़ी सी तस्वीरों के लिए मिट्टी डलवा दी, बट वो काम नहीं किया। फिर हमने 3 अपना जुलाई को लिखा, फिर 9 जुलाई को लिखा, एंड पे जाके 7 अगस्त को मैंने डीसी के साथ लड़ाई की, एसडीएम और बाकी लोगों को लिया। मैं क्या, अगर ये बांध टूटा तो मैं तो आपको छोड़ूंगा नहीं। तो तब जाके उन्होंने थोड़ा काम किया, बट उनका नतीजा आज ये है कि हम एक 2.5 किलोमीटर लंबा जो ब्रीच हुई है, 2.5 किलोमीटर लंबा, आप सोचिए कि पूरा लुधियाना शहर डूब जाएगा उसके अंदर। पर प्रशासन का फेलियर, ये जो गवर्नमेंट ने इस चीज की सारी माइनिंग माफिया को लाकर अपनी जेब में कमाई डाली है। तो अगर आप एक्चुअल चेक करेंगे तो नियर अबाउट 100 करोड़ रुपीज इन ईयर इन्होंने कमाया नहीं है। जो 20,000 करोड़ कमाने की बात कर रहे थे, उन्होंने 100 ऑफ करोड़ नहीं कमाया, और आज 1000 ऑफ करोड़ लोगों का डूब गया, फसलें डूब गई, जमीन चली गई। और आगे के लिए एक चीज नहीं दिख रही कि क्या होगा। रिलीफ पैकेजेस जो एनडीआरएफ फंड है वो रिलीज कर दिया था पिछली बार भी, जब 2023 में बाढ़ आई थी हमारे यहाँ पे, तो 20 करोड़ रुपया ये जो सरकार है एडवर्टाइजमेंट में लगा की थी एनडीआरएफ फंड से। तो बताइए क्या ऑन द ग्राउंड है। और लोग कल ये कह रहे थे,
कल मेरी बात हो रही थी एक पंजाब के मंत्री से, उनका दावा था कि पंजाब सरकार जितना कर पा रही है कर रही है ऑन ग्राउंड, रेस्क्यू रिलीफ जारी है, उनके मंत्री ऑन ग्राउंड हैं टेकिंग स्टॉक ऑफ द सिचुएशन। जब पानी रिसीड होगा तब बीमारी का भी डर है, उसकी भी प्लानिंग हो रही है पंजाब सरकार द्वारा। क्या आप संतुष्ट है पंजाब सरकार के कार्रवाई पर या अभी नहीं, और अगर नहीं तो क्यों?
पंजाब सरकार ग्राउंड जीरो पे कहीं नहीं दिख रही है, सिर्फ तस्वीरों में दिख रही है, काम के लिए कहीं नहीं दिख रही है। 5 मिनट के लिए मंत्री आते हैं, तस्वीर खिंचाते हैं, चले जा रहे हैं। लोग ग्राउंड जीरो पे ये बात कह रहे हैं कि अगर इस बार मदद भेजनी है तो सीधी हमारे डायरेक्ट अकाउंट्स में भेजना। हमें इस सरकार पे ये भरोसा नहीं है। 100 ऑफ पीपल कल तरुण चुग को ये बात बोल के गए हैं मेरे कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी के, हमें इस सरकार पे कोई नहीं है। क्योंकि जो माइनिंग, ये ब्रीचमेंट की बात कर रहा हूँ, ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी हरदीप मुंडिया है, मेरे वहां से एमएलए और मिनिस्टर है, उनको लोग भगा रहे हैं वहां से कि आपने पहले कहां थे। ये जितने मिनिस्टर्स हैं, जब विधानसभा में हमने इनसे सवाल पूछा, वो कहते थे बिल्कुल तैयारी पूरी है। बिल्कुल कोई तैयारी नहीं है। ग्राउंड जीरो पे कहीं सरकार दिख नहीं रही है। सिर्फ और सिर्फ आई वॉश के लिए पिक्चर्स वो सर्कुलेट हो रही हैं, मीडिया बुलेटिन रिलीज कर रही है गवर्नमेंट। ग्राउंड जीरो पे नील है। और अपने पास से कोई इंतजाम, इनके पास बोट्स नहीं थी, इनके पास हेलीकॉप्टर्स नहीं थे। जो प्रोवाइड हो रहा है, आर्मी की हेल्प हो रही है, बीएसएफ हेल्प कर रही है, उनकी बोट्स आ रही है, हेलीकॉप्टर्स आ रहे हैं, जो बाहर से राशन भी आ रहा है। मैं आपको एक और फैक्चुअल बताता हूँ। मेरे एरिया से हमने, जब हमारे यहाँ पे ब्रीच नहीं हुआ, तो हमने जो पशुओं के लिए चारा और वो भेजे थे, फीड भेजी थी, तो इन्होंने क्या किया, उन गाड़ियों को रुका के अपनी बैनरिंग करवा ली कि ये रिलीफ पंजाब गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से आ रही है। लोगों को ऐसे रोका जा रहा, ऑन ग्राउंड सिचुएशंस है। आप अपने आदमियों को भेजिए, असेस कीजिए, लोगों से पूछियो पूछिए कि ये असलियत है कि नहीं है। मैंने उस दिन से अपनी दस्तार नहीं बांधी, ये नॉर्मल बांध के मैं घूम रहा हूं कि मैं अपने लोगों में रहूं, और मैं 10 से 12 घंटे वहां पे रुक रहा हूं। और ऐसे ही पूरी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज में हमारे जो लोग हैं, हमारे इंचार्जेस हैं कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज के, वो घूम रहे हैं। 24/7 हम सेवा कर रहे हैं, डीसीज को कॉल कर रहे हैं, अपना सेक्रेटरीज को कॉल कर रहे हैं कि आप आइए, असेस कीजिए कहीं ब्रीच हो रहा है। गवर्नमेंट तो कह देती है कि यहाँ पे ब्रीच ही नहीं है। अब आप खुद सोचिए, अगर 2.5 किलोमीटर बड़ा ब्रीच, भाई 100 फुट का 200 फुट का होता है, बंदा कहता है बहुत बड़ा ब्रीच हो है, जहां पे 2.5 किलोमीटर लंबा ब्रीच हो रखा है। और सिचुएशन, हम लोगों ने नियर अबाउट 2-3 हजार लोग लगे हुए हैं वॉलंटरीली कि हम सेवा कर रहे हैं, और प्रशासन की तरफ से कोई नहीं। 100-150 जवान हमारा आर्मी का लगा हुआ है, एनडीआरएफ की टीमें लगी हुई हैं, प्रशासन सिर्फ वहां पे तस्वीरें खिंचाने के लिए लगा है। इससे अलावा ग्राउंड जीरो पे कुछ भी नहीं है। बट मुझे उम्मीद है कि परसों को जब प्रधानमंत्री जी पंजाब आएंगे, तो हमने सबसे पहले जाखड़ साहब ने उन्हें अपील की थी कि स्पेशल लीव पैकेज दिया जाए। मान साहब, आप समझिए 5 अगस्त को पंजाब में फ्लडिंग हो गई थी, और गवर्नमेंट कितनी तारीख को सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को लिख रही है 31 अगस्त को जाके कि हमें कोई रिलीफ भेजिए। तो आप इन सीरियसनेस ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट सोचिए कि कहां पे बैठी है। वो दिल्ली से आदेश लेते हैं केजरीवाल और सिसोदिया से, यहाँ पे ग्राउंड जीरो पे बिल्कुल काम नहीं हो रहा। जो फंड्स की बात है उन्हें ऑलरेडी ये डिवर्ट कर चुके हैं, जिसका हिसाब आने वाले दिनों में लेंगे कि कहां पे वो फंड्स गए हैं जो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने दिए थे, और उसका हिसाब किताब इस सरकार को देना पड़ेगा।
Ji, let me in fact also quickly then also bring in Brigadier Vinod Datta in at this point, former General Secretary DCMG. Brigadier Datta, as far as the situation on ground is concerned, how complicated is the rescue and relief operation? How challenging is it as well? What are the obstacles that the teams must be facing on ground? And what do you believe are the factors that have contributed to this unprecedented situation for the state in decades?
The situation is quite grim and compounded, and especially the weather. The weather is a big challenge because the clouds are still pouring in. Secondly, I think Indra had already brought out very nicely that because the problem of Punjab is the catchment area of these rivers, Himachal, because the kind of 8-laning and 4-laning of the roads which is going on, illegal mining, the trees are being cut. All these factors, like if you see, because I was involved in when there was a water crisis in Shimla, I was part of that study when I was, dealing with the disaster management. When we read the blueprint of Shimla, it was meant for, say, about 80,000 people at best to accommodate 1 lakh people. Now you see over weekends, more than 1.5 lakh people land up there just to celebrate. So the government have to decide that what is the land potential which is there, especially in the hills. The terrain and the configuration of architecture is totally different as far as plains are concerned and the hills are concerned. So that factor is being ignored very badly. Secondly, you see, Punjab was known for very good canal, the system which was there. But because of the encroachment, because of no desilting being done, because of the filth which is coming into these canals, you must have seen that everything is getting choked. Thirdly, the problem is that the civil administration is not geared up at all. They've been making a lot of tall claims that we will do this, or we will we are there with the people. That's why they say, as per the books, the first responder is NDRF, but literally the first responder is people. What the Mr. Pritpal was telling, that it is because of the volunteer forces they have been able to plug in these loopholes. Another problem which is going to the Punjab is going to face is about once the water recedes, because firstly all the assets they have been damaged beyond repair. Then the disease which will come. There are a lot of livestock. You must have seen how buffaloes they were seen in the river like those paper boats. The livestock, the people who have died, the disease is going to be a very big challenge. So the government has to, really pitch in and they have to look after the trauma aspect. The psychosocial factor is very, very important in any disaster-like situations, because people have lost their crops, they have lost their homes. I mean, it is not easy. So they have to be given some kind of counseling, some kind of help, and the help has to be immediate. It should not get into the red tapeism. I remember when we had gone to, Andhra Pradesh for this cyclones. The administration sometimes they were, so involved in red tapeism that, okay, get me the papers of the boat. अरे भाई, जिस फिशरमैन ने अगर बोट कर्ज लेके खरीदी है, how come he will be able to have those papers and produce those papers? So the relief also has to be very, very realistic, and it has to that human involvement has to be there. I mean, you just can't you put it on a computer and say, okay, we have fed in this data and this is what relief you are going to get. Thirdly, we have to be also very, very particular on the especially government officials, because on lighter side, some people were telling that फसलें खराब हुई हैं रबी खरीफ, और बोला तीसरी फसल जो लोगों को फायदा देगी वो है relief. So relief has to reach right to the last man connectivity, or to the person who's there, who has been impacted. So all these factors have to be kept in mind. And one more point which Indra was mentioning, I really want to endorse my views, because I have overseen Kerala floods. When the Idukki Dam was, the sluice gates, they were not opening. The same thing happened in Delhi, if you remember, when the Army's engineer regiment was called, and they worked overnight, and then the sluice gates were opened. So most of these drills are not being followed in peace. We are unnecessarily, not holding these people accountable. The people should be held accountable if the sluice gates are not opening. They should be rehearsed. They should be well oiled. The engineers should be taken to task. And third is the interstate rivalry. The government, now we have had a very stable government at center. So all these interstate rivalry of water sharing, not allowing the water, or holding water for dry days, I mean, that should be ironed out, and the water flow should be given equally, depending upon, of course, the population, the bubble which is there. That is a very big factor. So all these factors, if you combine, and of course, people are there to give their services voluntarily, otherwise also. But the administration has to pitch in. At the drop of hat, they ask the army to come. Army is always there to help you. But the army doesn't have that kind of equipment which the SDRF, State Disaster Response Force. You see, 2005, this act came into being, and it has given a mandate which is very clear that the uniformed person and ex-servicemen will be enrolled.
Yes.
You will be surprised that most of the SDRF establishment is not fully subscribed. And you see,
absolutely.
Haryana,
Pritpal Singh
Punjab,
Baliwal, as far as, of course, now Punjab is concerned, with the Prime Minister's visit upcoming to the state, will the centre be extending all relief and help to Punjab? We had on earlier a leader of the AAP from Punjab, and they had said that they just hope that there will be no politics or at a time like this. Will the centre be extending as much help to the Punjab government as possible?
देखिए, हम तो पहले दिन से कह रहे हैं कि इस चीज पे बिल्कुल राजनीति नहीं होनी चाहिए. हम तो इस बात पे भी, जिस दिन जाखड़ साहब ने चिट्ठी लिखी है प्राइम मिनिस्टर को, उस दिन ही हमने बोल दिया था, आओ इकट्ठे चले प्राइम मिनिस्टर के पास, और सारी पार्टीज चले. ये हमारा पंजाब है जी, डूबा हुआ है पंजाब. उस गांव में आम आदमी पार्टी का लीडर भी बैठा, उस गांव में भाजपा का लीडर भी बैठा, उसमें अकाली दल का भी बैठा, कांग्रेस का भी बैठा है. हमारे लोग डूबे हुए हैं. इस चीज पे हम बिल्कुल पॉलिटिक्स करना ही नहीं चाहते, बट आम आदमी पार्टी की आदत है, वो इस चीज को पॉलिटिसाइज करना चाहती है. हमने कहा था कि आप स्पेशल लीव पैकेज की अमाउंट बनाइए, प्रेडिक्शंस बताइए जितना लॉस है. आओ हम चले. पंजाब सफर कर रहा है ना जी. हम लोगों की लाशों के ऊपर पिक्चराइजेशन नहीं करवाना चाहते. हम चाहते हैं कि हमारे लोग, जिनके ऊपर इतनी बड़ी मार पड़ गई है इस निकम्मी गवर्नमेंट के कारण, उन्हें कुछ रिलीफ तो दे. जिनकी अगली फसल भी बर्बाद हो गई है, डिसिल्टिंग हो जानी है, वहां पे सैंड जम जानी है, अगली फसल नहीं होनी है. ये तो अभी पता नहीं कितने दिन लगेंगे पानी उतरने के लिए। बट गवर्नमेंट इट्स नॉट सीरियस। वो ना वो कोई मीटिंग्स कर रहे हैं, सिर्फ और सिर्फ पिक्चर्स के लिए गांव में जा रहे हैं, पिक्चर करा के 10 मिनट बाद वापस आ जा रहे हैं। आप अगर ग्राउंड रियलिटी पूछे ना, लोग विरोध करना शुरू कर दिया है। इवन द मिनिस्टर्स, एक दिन एक बोट पे 3 मिनिस्टर जा रहे थे तरन तारण के तरफ, तो वो बात कर रहे थे। मैं जब उस पे गया था क्या कहते हैं क्रूज पे, तो मुझे उतना मजा नहीं आ रहा था जितना इस बोट के अंदर घूमने में आ रहा है।
जी चलिए, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया हमारे संग जुड़ने के लिए। वक्त